And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
Welcome in, everybody. Mike Scarborough, Buddy Songy here. Another edition of TigerBait Live. A lot to discuss. Obviously, everybody's fixated on Texas A&M and Schlossnagle heading to Texas. And, boy, the SEC has always got drama. And what does that mean to their roster in the portal and coaching moves, on and on. We had Friday Night Lights at LSU football last Friday. A lot of recruiting stuff out there as well to discuss. Kim Mulkey was at an Aspen deal today. Speaking engagement with Oriama, and that was pretty a good listen. We've got that on the front page of TigerBait. And all that and your questions and comments. We're going to get to as many of them as possible tonight. And welcome in, buddy.
Good to see you, Mike Scarborough, of course, publisher of TigerBait.com for many, many years, getting ready to embark on another exciting, and you know it's going to be hot, preseason fall camp coming up here in August. Mike, if you're not a member of the site, had this stuff from Bryce Underwood, Harlan Berry, the film, the interaction, the scoop, commits coming and going. Tennessee wins their first baseball championship. You know, they've been bragging as a fan base, but they have won more ball games in college baseball than anybody since 2020, but finally got over the hump. And, of course, Schlossnagle, interesting scenario. Most people assume and agree that this thing has been a cut and dry deal done. Who knows whether it's been a week, 2 weeks, a month, or whatever.
I'm told that they hadn't recruited for a month.
Yeah.
And that all the stuff as far as what was being in recruiting has been done by the NIL people, not the staff.
Yeah. But anyway, here's the question that we kind of talked about a little bit after the show today. What would have happened had A&M come back and won 7-6? How long were they going to hold on to this? You mentioned it. Would they have had a parade? Obviously, it would have been bittersweet. And then how quickly could he have left for Texas? And so it's crazy that all of that is going on. $3 million a year for Schloss. He's a very good coach. Had a great relationship with Chris Del Conte. The gloves fit. They worked together at TCU 15 plus years. But A&M, once again, just like the Bud man, never a bride, never a groom. It's always left at the altar, and it's still 1939.
It's still, and it applies to Trev Albert as their athletics director, who famously said when he was in broadcasting about Ole Miss in 2003 when they lost to LSU, when Eli Manning fell down on third down, or was that fourth down? Either way, once a runt, always a runt. And that's why last week I was pulling for Tennessee. A Sophie's choice, absolutely. But it's going to be interesting to see all these kids in the portal. I see a bunch of the folks in the chat asking about some of them. I got a little bit of information on that right before we went live. What I'm being told right now is the Texas baseball NIL budget is $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
They've got $10 to $12 million. So all those Aggie players that have gotten in the portal,
payday.
So 10 to 12 million. I think LSU's NIL budget is probably around 2 or 3 million.
Yeah. Well, now, if you remember on the exit interview with Jay Johnson, he said he was going to do some things, and he referenced John Calipari, who was thinking, I'm going to have fewer players. I give them the big money, and then my walk-ons and my other guys are on the bench, and they're not being a pain in the ass in the locker room. That's what Jay, of course, LSU's lost 12, and I think they're sitting at, picking up 8 or 9, and portal ends on Monday, I think, and so we'll see what happens. But obviously for the A&M, and I still have a few friends over there that have been long time. And 1939, Mike, do you realize this audience we are talking to right now would be not that they like us now, but they would be throwing pitchforks and guns and everything at us if they were sitting there listening to us talk about a program that hadn't won football, men's basketball, or baseball since 1939. They did win basketball in 2011. Pat Henry obviously
Well,
gave
you were a
them.
season ticket holder in 39, weren't you?
No, I was not around at that time. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But I'll tell you what, to see OU and Texas coming in the conference on Monday, July 1, and them to pull the rug out of A&M, little brother is alive and well, and it's going to be spicy. I've said it on numerous occasions. The Texas fan base will have every SEC fan base in the league pissed off and ready to fight before the start of the first game this year.
No doubt Jay Johnson is going to pursue a lot of those stud players for A&M that have gotten the portal. What is it, 7 or 8 now? But I think the best chances for LSU is Caden Kent, the infielder, and then the catcher, Max Coffer. Everybody's going to go after all of them, and certainly Jace Laviolette is going to be one that everybody would love to get. He's likely to head to Texas, but you take a swing if you can and see what can happen. But I think it's the two kids, the catcher and Kent. Those are the two.
Catcher will be an obvious competitive position this fall and going into the preseason camps. First base, most people were expecting Jared Jones to be gone. Braswell hit and miss, might come back, might go pro. Tommy Tank's gone. Obviously, we're waiting to see what happens with Griffin Herron, Gage Jump. Luke Coleman are going to be gone. A lot of those top recruits, Connor Griffin and Caminiti and William Schmidt, a really good freshman pitcher from Catholic High. Mike, when they get offered $2+ million, if that happens, if he goes in the top 20, top 25, it's just too much money to forego that. But once again, Texas, on the other hand, as you mentioned, the NIL, could say to a guy, look, come play at Texas with Slosh. We'll give you $1 million, $1.5 million or whatever they have in that budget. And LSU probably can't offer that kind of money.
Can you imagine when Texas goes to College Station for a baseball series next year, what that place is going to be like?
Slosh is going to need a couple of Shaq-like bouncers.
I mean, normally you have a marquee baseball series, and you'll have one of them on ESPN2. The Saturday game will be on ESPNU, and then maybe the third game will be on streaming. That series, I think all three of them are going to be on a network. That's how big of an audience, because everybody in the SEC is tuned into this thing now, because you've never seen anything like this. I mean, the closest you can get to it is Saban going to Alabama, but he had the buffer of Miami Dolphins in between. But you never seen somebody go like that to a rival, especially playing for a national championship the night before.
Yeah. Jay says, you mentioned, was committed to LSU and Paul Maneri. Most of the recruiting was done by Nolan Kane. And, of course, when Nolan went to Texas A&M, he brought Jace with him, really good player. And as you alluded to today, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these guys come in, what the perception of Slosh will be. LSU beat Texas this year. How quickly can he turn around? But with Arkansas in basketball and Texas in baseball, you've got two programs that are outspending everybody by a ton. We'll see, Mike, if it works. We saw A&M try to buy a football championship. Didn't work out. But you Tiger fans have to hang in there and just hope that they're competitive and you get the kind of kids you want to stay here. We'll talk about some of the commits and decommits. We told you last Wednesday we had good vibes about Kern, and he started a little bit of a momentum last week.
Guys, do me a favor. Facebook is playing games with my account, so I was unable to share this show to all the Facebook groups. They've got me locked out for 3 days because they claimed a link I shared from TigerBait to a Facebook group back in 2023 was trademark material. So I don't know what games they're playing. I'm disputing it. But either way, I couldn't get the word out that we're live tonight on Facebook. If you can please do me a favor and share the show on all the groups in your Facebook feed. Much appreciated that. And please hit the like button and share button as well. All right, let's go ahead and jump into some comments. Roger Ramjet, first up. Hey, Mike and Buddy, good to be with y'all. Always enjoy the show. Give us some good news. All right. I think we're going to have some good news at some point here. James Moore, hello, Buddy and Mike. If Coach Baker can get this defense in the top 30, I can see the Tigers getting 10 wins. But he will find out if this defense about the recipe or is about the recipe of the ingredients. Buddy and I talked about that on his show earlier today. Vegas 9.5 over under.
Yeah, and look, that's a big number. Last year was 9.5.
Buddy doesn't like to walk the plank. He doesn't like to make predictions. I'm going to say you take the under.
And I'm going to say I want to see what the hell they look like. I will tell you this, Tiger fans. And I know people are going to think I still have an extra ground, but the difference in coaching on the defensive side of the ball, the philosophy, the disguising, the aggression, the substitutions, the fits of the pieces to the puzzle. Oh, by the way, in case you were foggy out there, Matt House didn't start Harold Perkins until game 7 when he was a freshman. Matt House did not find a good fit for Harold Perkins in 2 years. Now, they did get him to intercept the ball last year, learn some cover skills, try to get him better for the next level. But my point is that if you don't think Bo Davis with the D-line, Kevin Peoples with the edge rushers, Blake Baker as the coordinator and the linebackers, Jake in the safeties, Corey in the cornerbacks, if you don't think they're going to be appreciably better coached, then you truly are going to be surprised.
I think it'll be better coached, but you still got to cover. You still got to get pass rush. I think they're going to be better. I do. But not, the point is on 9.5, if you take the over, you're saying they're going to be 10-2. So I think the odds are higher taking the under right now.
Well, I just give you this little analogy. How much did we see of this team? How much do you think you know about this team this year?
I know enough from what I've seen of what's returning. I'm skeptical of the corners. I think it's exciting that P.J. Woodland, a true freshman, but that's still we have seen true freshmen at corner and safety do fantastic things in the last 20 years at LSU. Is he the next one? It'd be great if he is, but that's also a difficult deal. I don't like the interior defensive line at all. And I'm skeptical of how much edge rush you're going to bring. And I'm still kind of skeptical of Harold Perkins being a middle linebacker. Can he be a middle linebacker? And I don't know.
Edge rushers, I disagree 100%. Deshaun Womack, Parrish Shan.
But Womack, you're going off his high school.
No, what the hell? He made plays. They just didn't play the son of a bitch because you had a dumbass coordinator by the name of Matt House.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, Deshaun Womack got into a game and, like an idiot, took his helmet off after he had a sack, and they brought him back and didn't put him in the game. Unbelievable bad coaching. And what I'm saying is that I'm not going to read 2 chapters of a book and try to tell you how the outcome is. Mike wants to read 2 chapters and say they're going to go 8-4 or 9-3. I want to see what they look like because you know what? It's still a very fluid situation. But you're sleeping in a much bigger, better, and maintained house this year, Tiger fans.
All right. Good evening, Mike and Buddy, says Dane. Fire 3449. Hit the like button, everybody. C Trey, what's up, Mike and Buddy? Go Tigers. S. Young says, we are about to find out if Jay really is the portal king. Well, look, he's done a fantastic job so far. And what if he can get 1 or 2 of these A&M kids? I mean, is it a foregone conclusion that every single one of them is going to get in the portal and go to Texas? Heck, if I'm an Aggie player, even if I'm saying, you know what, I love it here. I like my classes. I like my curriculum. I want to graduate in this, whatever pre-vet at A&M, whatever that might be. I'm still putting my name in the portal just because what that might do for you, NIL.
Well, they don't know who's going to be the next coach.
Right.
You know,
you maybe should put your name in the portal.
But it really hurts with Kane leaving. You made a comment
just
about
put your name in the portal. I mean, you have to leave.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying Nolan Kane was a recruiting guy that got a lot of those guys there, and all of a sudden, you said he looked like a fish out of water today.
Yeah, I mean, go look at some of the images. They did photo shoots of the staff. I mean, he looked like he didn't want to be there, even though they're giving him close to $700,000.
Oh, is that what he's getting?
Yeah, 6 something.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and so, but look, that's also I mean, look, what does that say for those guys to, particularly assistant coaches? They read Twitter like it's nobody's business. They read the message boards, and, all these guys who were saying how he was the greatest thing since sliced bread for months on TexAgs and everywhere else are now ripping him a new one, and and saying you were recruiting for somebody else for the last month. I mean, I'd look like I was on my way to prison as well.
Well, actually, I do have an example, and it happened right here in Baton Rouge. Wes Johnson was coaching for LSU, and he took what every man wants.
Mm-hmm.
A head job, a head coaching opportunity, and did a heck of a job this year.
He still got an extension today.
Now
he's contracted to 2030.
Okay,
1 year, and they've already extended.
My point is that he was on the staff, and that's when Jay was really uptight at the end of the year in 23. It finally got broken by somebody outside, and everybody jumped on it. And he said basically Wes is going to be the next head coach at Georgia. Well, he's working for LSU at the time. You think he picked up the phone and started getting his staff together and started recruiting and all that? So that's kind of a parallel. But to do it so quickly after a one-run loss in a natty game, where this stuff has been brewing. And folks, it doesn't matter who you are. Administrators, coaches, players, they all lie. And sometimes they just can't say the truth. Nick Saban said over and over again, right? I will not be the frickin' coach of Alabama. Didn't he say that? Everybody has tape of that.
Mm-hmm. This went beyond that.
Well, yeah. And once again, though, the point I'm trying to make is that there is no loyalty and there is no ethics.
He looked up today and he saw Olin Buchanan from TexAgs in the audience.
And
Olin found out what time the press conference was and burned it rubber to get to Austin for the introductory. And I think that
precipitated the apology.
The apology.
Yeah. Well, look, and they've apologized too. I'm just saying that
I've known Olin for years and years. He's a great guy. Covered A&M. He was a national guy at Rivals for years when I was there, and old school guy. But it was fun watching the TexAgs live show.
Oh man,
I got to tell you.
So look, Tiger fans, you might be a little bored. You might have gone to the beach or getting ready to go or whatever, but be thankful that there's some semblance of organization now. Dennis Shaver let them down a little bit, didn't finish as high as they thought. Beth did not make it to OKC, but once again, she's done a good job with some portal players, an infielder from Oklahoma, a pitcher from McNeese, and then having the big lefty coming in. And, of course, baseball. How many more portal guys you think Jay brings in? 2 or 3?
Yeah, I'm kind of like wondering what his numbers are looking like and how he's viewing it. He still has to wait to see what the MLB draft does, but he's got that pretty much down to science. He probably knows within 1 or 2 guys who of his high school signees are going to be there. But Hal Jubin asks, Mike, wasn't it Rob Dillingham, the Kentucky player, that hit the 3 late against us to almost win it for them before we had the buzzer shot? Do you remember that?
What year? Is that him last year?
Was that the Super?
Yeah, no, that was last year. He's talking basketball. I think he is correct. I think he is. LSU came back and, that was a big win for him, man, to beat Calipari. And of course, John Calipari is about as bad a loser as you can get, but they are buying every single player. And it's just not Walmart and Tyson. And now it's Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys owner. So it's going to be hard to not be able to compete with NIL. But right now, Arkansas basketball and Texas baseball, they are spending primo dollars.
All right, let's see. Let me get to some super chats real quick. Trey Baton, good evening, Mike and Buddy. Tough times in College Station. Hopefully LSU can land one of their big 3. Thanks for that super chat, Trey, big time. Appreciate the support. Dane Bergeron also with a super chat. Go, Buddy. Keep Mike honest. Yeah, Buddy does that. And Kenny Haynes with a super chat says, if we get Kent, I hope his dad doesn't bring that toilet bowl hat with him. That thing was hideous.
Yeah, but now listen, I got to get after Shark. And I love Shark and Snake and everybody, But Shark actually said something, and you may agree that now that this is a reset of the market with coaching salaries, and he intimated that Texas A&M may come a calling to listen to try and entice Jay Johnson to be an Aggie. I will tell you, I don't know what Jay Johnson's IQ is, probably 115 or 120, right? You agree? In that range?
He's probably way up there.
Okay. He'd have to have an IQ in the 40s to go coach at A&M and work for Trev Alberts.
I think the only, and by the way,
not going to happen, Shark.
You bring Trev Alberts back up. You know, everything that is brought up in regards to this whole thing with Schlossnagle is how close him and Chris Del Conte are.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. But no one is saying that there's some fumbles that Trev Alberts may have made also.
Absolutely.
He laid off a bunch of people and cut staff.
Yep.
And some of those guys, I'm told, and Texas Tiger on our message board shared some of it last night, and it's correct. Some of those were Schlossnagle's people. I think maybe there was some, and look, the details of it, I'm not sure the ins and outs, but evidently there was some issues with the renovations in the new Bluebell Park. And that stuff getting slow rolled and where that's at now, everybody says it's 100% and it's happening. But, you know, there was some steps along the way where maybe he I think Trev Alberts probably went and look, and here's the other part of it. You know, we've seen it at LSU where you've got coaches that feel like they're not as secure because Scott Woodward didn't hire them, or they were, we've been talking about that with Beth Torina for years now. She was an Oliva hire, and she loves Joe Oliva, but Scott Woodward didn't hire. Does that mean she's about to get a pink slip? I don't know that. I don't know how much Scott Woodward cares about softball, but there is always that dynamic about who the AD hired and who he didn't. And so Trev Albert probably rolled in there like a bull in a china shop, wanting to do things his way. He's always held himself in high regard. That probably was a factor as well. But either way, the way this was handled, I imagine Thanky at the SEC office is just rolling his eyes. But it is good for us and everybody in the media in the slow summer days to have something to talk about, just to peek over the fence and see what a fiasco all that is in Texas right now.
But I want to finish with the Shark thing. So one of the things that he implied, he didn't say that Jay was going to go talk to A&M, but he said that this may reset the coaches market. And so I ask you today on the show, and I'll ask you now, do you think you bring Jay Johnson in and give him a raise, or do you see what he does next year? And once you get back to getting Omaha and all that, because look, every time somebody wants or has interest, or the agent calls and said, A&M's interested, you can't give that coach a raise every time. But I know you're a big fan of Jay Johnson.
Let me ask you, did he get any bounce or extension after the championship last year?
I think he did. Yeah. Got a raise in a couple more years. So I'll have to look it up exactly what the number is.
Well, we talked about it,
but $3 million a year now.
What? I mean, if Jay can use this to his advantage, maybe Jay might want TexAgs and websites like that to put him on their hot board and act like they're making that way he can say, you know what, I want those aluminum stands, those grandstands to be cement, and I want some sort of user fan experience deal that we've fallen behind the times on, just to get some facility upgrades for Alex Box. I mean, sometimes use some things to your advantage. I don't think he desires to go anywhere.
Yeah, I think Jay would tell Texas A&M, you can take those bubbles and go right up your butt with them. They're weird. They have weird cheerleaders. They have weird eccentric things about them. And
I think the only two jobs in America, he said it, hadn't he? The only two jobs he would have ever left Arizona for was LSU or Texas.
I didn't know if he included Texas, but
I think he's
anyway,
before.
Spicy times in the SEC baseball, and have no fear, Jay Johnson will pull something out the hat. But my point, my question in the whole thing is that, would Johnson do that? I don't think he would. But I think Woody's smart enough to know when you reset the market with great coaches, you get paid. Remember the old deal? When you won the national championship, the agent would say, you're going to be the highest paid coach plus $1.
What is Schlossnagle getting at Texas?
$3 million.
All right, where's Jay at?
I think he's at 1.6 or something in that neighborhood.
Okay. I'd say bump me up to 2.5.
Ain't gonna happen.
How much is Mulkey making?
She's making more than 2.5. And by the way, that's a loss leader program. Baseball, I think 200,000 or 300,000 plus or minus every year. But look, that's why Woody is.
Those two need to be in line.
Yeah,
they need to be making the same amount. Don't you think?
Oh, I want to see. Once again, look, I don't think Jay Johnson is a guy that cares about money. He cares about winning, and he cares about doing it the right way. If it comes, fine. But I do not think he will use this to leverage to get a raise. I don't.
I think he just wants facilities.
Yeah, that's probably more important.
And by the way, I don't know how much he even pushes for that.
Yeah,
he's all about Jim.
Well, the box is outdated. We know that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. All right. Let me scroll down and let's see. Yeah, I agree with Dane earlier. He says can't put the genie back in the bottle. NIL needs to be regulated. Watching that Gino Auriemma and Kim Mulkey thing this afternoon, they talked about it and they had a real good discussion about it. But it's nothing that's never been said before. Yeah, Fire 3449. Mike, the best news of the CWS final was that Tennessee didn't break LSU's home run record.
Good point.
Yeah.
3 or 4 short, and of course, Tennessee plays in an appreciably smaller ballpark. I watched it. I didn't think I'd watch much of the CWS once LSU was out, obviously, but the first 3 games were all walk-off games, and it got a little boring. A&M and Tennessee both won the marble game, so they had a couple days off. But lo and behold, I can tell you, talking to a handful of 10 people, those Omaha people had a big letdown after what happened last year over there for 10 days. What happened this year from an economic standpoint?
John Sibley Butler says he's still not worried about the LSU defense, ... yet. Spectrum Well Care says he'd rather Chevis Jackson as the DB coach. Corey Raymond, obviously a bit in the news with Jabari Antoine decommitting after he's been on a couple of official visits to Miami and Florida State and comes home and decommits. Might he still recommit to LSU? A lot of time left. A lot of NIL plays going on out there. Players, I'm hearing that it's already starting a bit where some of the commitments for 25 are hearing what another guy's making, and this stuff is never going to end. I don't know how you get a hold of it, but there's a lot of that going on right now. Trucking with Casper rolls in with a big super chat. $49.99. Thank you, Casper, one of our big supporters. Why do we keep losing defensive recruits? Seems like every week I keep getting new notifications. Are we still doing okay defensively on recruiting? Sorry for being missing in action lately.
Casper, good to hear from you, man.
Yeah. Look, we can talk about you've got one network that has LSU's recruiting class number 2 in the country. The other 2 have them right at the top 10, back into the top 10 or 11 or 12, depending on the day. But when you look at LSU's commitment list, it was getting Harold last week, the edge rusher, defensive end. That was a really nice pickup, a high 4-star kid.
Tampa.
That everybody covets. Ross at linebacker, who we got a story on today. Firm to LSU, and Keelan Moses, of course. We don't believe he's going anywhere. Buddy talked to someone, and I did as well, and he's not going anywhere. He's flashing LSU gloves at the Rivals event this morning, which, by the way, Harlan Berry won the fastest man competition. We'll talk about that a little bit.
By the way,
defensively, the top, this recruiting class right now is still offensive heavy. Where are the defensive tackles? And you had 1 corner. Now you're down to 0. Can you get Antoine back in? But, you need at least 3 high school corners in this class?
Well, that's what Underwood and Harlan Berry said. Now, they are 2 of the big parts. That's the other reason it's so important for Keelan Moses, who's been one of the leaders on defense, to quit all this waffling. And you understand, folks, this is very tempting when you get a bag offered to just come visit. You said it today. You're getting picked up. You're in a limo. You got an incredible, beautiful lady or two on your side. You're going to eat the finest steak and whatever else delicacy. You got a bag of $5 or $10 grand sitting there. No telling what else. It's very enticing. But once again, as we saw with his brother, Dylan Moses doesn't have any scoop to do anything in this town because of what happened. It's not fair, but a lot of people thought that he left LSU on the side of the road. They're not going to help him now. Of course, he got hurt at Alabama, and they washed his hands just like Pontius Pilate. Alabama did, and Saban, as soon as he got hurt. And that's the problem. When you get treated like a piece of meat, they love you when they need you. But as soon as you get an injury or something happens, it's bye-bye. And that's the problem that these kids have got to understand, is that you can get paid now, or you can be Joe Burrow or Angel Reese or Jaden Daniels or some of those type of players and get paid on the back end. And who has the patience, who believes they're going to be developed, or who wants that bag right up front? It's not a simple situation for anybody anymore.
Yeah. Casper, man, thank you big time for that generous super chat. You're always good to us, and one of our best supporters here on TigerBait. Dane Bergeron with another super chat. He says, no damn raise until he wins another championship. Remember how Les Miles used Arkansas to get a raise? No thanks.
Same thing with Maneri and all that.
Well, but I'll go back to what you said 5 minutes ago. How high is Jay Johnson's IQ versus Les Miles? I have more confidence that if you give Jay Johnson more years on the back end of his contract, that you're still going to be happy 2/3 down the line, versus Les Miles when he was getting his. We were already ready for him to hit the road.
But I think they did Jay and got Jay right after that natty last year. I'll have to look it up, and we'll know next time exactly where his extension is. I do know this: Beth Torina has 2 more years at $455,000 with her contract. We looked that up, and of course, BK. Hard to believe, Mike. Do you realize? You remember those first days where we met him and all the things that have gone on. But do you realize this is going to be year 3 with Brian Kelly? It goes by fast. And first question I'll ask is that Coach got a lot of transition on defense, especially with coaching. But this is year 3. Can you start a little quicker? And I think that there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of questions. But as you said on numerous occasions, everybody's got questions right now.
Yeah. Devin Johnson with a super chat. Thank you. He says, lots of college football fans not high on LSU. I've had a poll on the front page of TigerBait for, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks now. And where do you think LSU will rank preseason? And it looks to be 10-12, 44%, 13-6, ranked 13, 14, 15, 16, 25%. So that's the majority. Most people think somewhere between 10 and 16. That's probably about where we've had them. And like we said all the time, that USC game tells a story and charts the path. Me being critical of the defense like I am, at the same time, and I sound like a broken record, that schedule really is favorable to LSU if you win that first game in Vegas.
And the first SEC game at 11 o'clock in the morning, week 3 against South Carolina. You should be 5-0 with an open date getting ready to play Ole Miss. And Mike, here's the thing. You got a new coordinator basically with Joe and Coach Hankton. I mean, they did call the plays and all like they did with the bowl game. Nuss has that one start, but you got to keep him vertical and healthy. You got to get the football to your playmakers. You know that run game, if you got to keep that O-line healthy. LSU's been relatively lucky keeping O-linemen healthy. We know that there's going to be more depth there. But if you just look and play to your strengths and cover up those weaknesses, you got a big old zit right here. Everybody knows you got to put something on it to hide it. And they're going to have to find some way to put some mascara, some toothpaste or whatever on that D-line and hide it and get away with it. But look, I think 11 would probably be high and 15 would probably be. So let's say 11 to 15 for me. What were the parameters? I voted on that thing.
It was 10 to 12, and I put 13 to 16. Okay. And that's about where 65, 70%.
It'll be one of those two, I think.
Yep. you mentioned Hankton and Sloan being co and offensive coordinators, and one of the guys that they brought in as an analyst, I was talking to one of my guys that covers Ohio State, is that they brought in as a senior offensive analyst is Todd Fitch, who comes from Ohio State. And I hear really good things about the things that he did there behind the scenes. And that's not a guy that anybody's ever talked about, but I understand he's going to be really good. He's also good with quarterbacks and so forth. So Sloan and Hankton got a good analyst. And now you hear all these things they're trying to prove where your offensive analyst can be a part on headsets. And, as that stuff comes to pass, guys like this are going to become more valuable. You've got the grandson of Lou Holtz on the staff as well on the offensive side of the ball. They've got some of those guys in the building. Those new guys are going to be pivotal to things that LSU's wanting to do this fall.
Well, and look, nobody's worried about the offense. And all I'm trying to say, Mike, I don't know what that.
They need to run the ball,
but they do need to run the ball because that runs the clock and keeps the defense off the field. I think they'll utilize that philosophy a little bit more. But I'm just saying the pieces to the puzzle last year were not utilized in the best situations, and I think if you can get the kind of talent at Missouri to hold Ohio State to 3 points in a bowl game, he's got better talent over here now. It's going to be who's going to be a plug and play. How are they going to camouflage the weaknesses? Or are they going to be able to force turnovers, get after the quarterback? None of us know right now, but I know this. It's going to be a lot more aggressive and going after people versus that soft-ass zone where you let people catch it in front of you and then you come up to tackle. Those days are over, baby. You better love press man-to-man and getting after the quarterback because that's what you're going to see come September 1.
Absolutely.
Now, does that mean 400 yards or 350 a game or whatever? But we'll see. I just think people need to give them a chance. And right now, the building blocks are being made with the leaders and the tough work they're doing out in this heat. Mike, can you imagine running stadiums, running the levee? You got the big arms to pick up the tire. And I mean, all that stuff's going on right now. And this is where your team learns who they can lean on. And, man, right now, offensively, Nussmeier, Emory Jones, and Will Campbell are a hell of a trio as leaders on offense. Who's going to step up and be the defensive leaders?
Yeah. All right, Alumni Hall. Folks, going to tell you about the best place to get all your LSU fan gear, Alumni Hall. Shop at their store off Blue Bonnet and Perkins Row or shop online at alumnihall.com. They've got it all. And all the new Nike gear, Champion, Johnny O, Onward Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, and much more. They've got the nice polos you've been looking for, Yeti, etc., all the accessories and stuff for the home with LSU logos on it. Shop with them and you can earn rewards on future purchases with their Hall Pass rewards program. I have this discount code to share with my friends and subscribers. So when you shop, use the code TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, in store or online, and you're going to get 10% off your purchase. Go shop with my friends at Alumni Hall and use the code TigerBait to save. And beautiful store in Perkins Row, packed to the gills. They've been getting all the 2024 football season stuff in, the new polos and more, and all the stuff that the coaches wear on the sidelines, new hats. They've got a wall, I'm telling you, that's probably a good 50 yards long of nothing but hats and all the greatest selection anywhere. You're not going to find it better. And even better is that if you order something online and you reside in the state of Louisiana, they're shipping it from Baton Rouge. So be sure to use that code TigerBait at checkout.
By the way, if you see a number 44, a football jersey with Emory on the back, that is the new number for John Emory. Matthew Langlois, no longer listed on the LSU football roster, been injured ever since he got here. And so Brian Kelly's son on the team now. So we'll give you some nuggets and tidbits. And Mike's been doing a great job with recruiting. I think the general consensus, got to get a little momentum with defensive recruiting for 2025. And I'm expecting that to pick up.
Got a couple of defensive tackles in Texas. It would be great if Bo Davis can get them on board. Brad David with a super chat, $4.99. Thank you. Mike, why did Oklahoma give Venables a 6-year extension already? Is there enough sample size that he can win long-term? I mean, I thought immediately, a couple of years ago when the news broke that those two schools were coming into the league, that Oklahoma was going to affect them more in a negative way. We'll see. To me, that's a little early.
Well, look, I'll just tell you this. Oklahoma really got the short end of the schedule this first year in the SEC. Texas is much easier. Oklahoma has a brutal schedule, and they finished the last 2 weeks hosting Alabama and then coming to play the finale against LSU. Brent Venables, I want to say they gave him 6 years or whatever, 7.6 to about 8 something when it's over. Mike, we used to think 10 million was just, oh my God, they're making 10 million. For Brent Venables, they obviously are all in, but here's the thing why we always joke about the second life. If you come back in a second life, you want to be a fired football coach because those guys get paid millions. I mean, look at Jimbo in this $70-something million club.
No, has anybody heard or seen him? I'm imagining him like David Letterman with a beard down to here and just fishing and probably not even turn on a TV to watch any football.
Chewing tobacco and saying, honey, what we going to eat tonight?
Yeah.
But look.
1.79, Bart Smokey posted. Jay's contract is $12.55 million over 7 years. And I just did a calculation. That's 1.79.
Okay. So okay. See, they redid him last year. So I don't think they're going to touch that right now after the Natty, but I do agree.
I'm sure there's some incentives in there for
absolutely
as well on top of that.
But Venables, you think I think he's middle of the pack in the SEC. I wouldn't say he's one of the best coaches, but he's certainly not one of the worst. But look, he had a shaky year and a good year.
And that football schedule they've got.
Yeah, they'll be lucky to win more than 8. Now you talk about a team.
What game is going to be the best game?
Oh man,
home game in Tiger Stadium. Ole Miss, Alabama, or Oklahoma.
I
mean, really, the home slate is fantastic.
I would say Ole Miss simply because there's a chance of both teams being in the top 10 and 5-0 when they play. But by the way, 2 years ago, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss came in here 7-0. I think they were number 7 in the country. Bama was 6. LSU, those are the 2 top 10 wins that Kelly got in his first year at LSU. Beat 6 Alabama in an incredible overtime game. We still remember that one. And then, of course, beat Ole Miss. And Ole Miss lost like 5 straight games.
And Ole Miss had a good time in the first half, and then second half, whole different story.
But if Tony Vitello can win one in baseball, we'll see if another bad boy, Lane Kiffin. Are you all in on Lane Kiffin? Do you think they make the CFP 12 this year? Ole Miss.
If they don't make it this year, they never will.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe what I'm hearing, that if Napier doesn't get it done, that Lane Kiffin will be the next coach at Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't expect Billy to get it done, but once again, he'll be well paid to go bye-bye.
I'm scrolling up here. 1 second. I'm looking for it. Fire 3449 had a question for me, and I'm scrolling up to find it. I didn't see it, but it was something about Trades Green playing basketball.
Yeah. He is officially listed on the official basketball roster, and look, he takes great pride, Mike, in being able to play 2 sports. When was the last time we saw? I remember some
Marcus
guys.
Spears.
But no, Spears. John Brady ran off Spears, and now Corey Webster was good enough to play basketball. He was that good, but Spears and Clayton didn't play it. Jared Mitchell and some of the other guys are what Chad Jones, they won, but football,
Chris
basketball,
Jackson,
but basketball, football is tough with the time frame, tough with
the main thing is the body weight
and all that. And once again, we got to talk about our friends over at Pride Roofing, because talk about prideful. Mike Fairday, Alex Martinez, and the guys over there. Look, folks, we're not going to have a commercial on TV every 5 minutes like a lot of people do. Our office in Baton Rouge, Mike Kirby, 275-2041. If you get an answering machine, definitely leave a message. And I know you have a lot of good things to say about that.
Absolutely. Let's hear from Mike and Alex right now.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There you go. And like Buddy said, give him a call.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride.
Give him a call, 855-PRIDE-16. And as always, you get a free roof inspection. But if you say TigerBait when you call, they're going to pay for you to have TigerBait Premium free for a year. That's a $99 value, and they actually pay for it. It's you cannot beat that. And so whether it's commercial or residential, Pride Roofing is who you want to call. And nobody does it better in Louisiana. You got a lot of options, but you're going to have no builder grade materials used. They only use the top of the line shingles for your roof. And they're on a first name basis with all the insurance adjusters out there working it. So Pride Roofing, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com.
Metal roofs continue to be very popular. Look, folks, they get there early. They take care of their business. They clean up. It is a professional business. They're going to treat you with respect. They're likable. They will crunch the number. We've had tens and 20s of people calling us and say, look, I want to do business. They came in a little high. Can you make a call? They crunch the numbers because they want you to brag about them. You will take great pride. Many people have done business with them. They all have glowing reviews. Give them an opportunity. Oh, by the way, heavy involved in community involvement. Mike, Alex, two incredible ladies, all of their staff. They hope that you have a great summer. We're all hoping and praying, knock on wood, that we have a hurricane season that does not damage our roofs and our houses. But remember, they always tell you the roof over their head is just as important as the roof over yours. Once again, Mike and Alex, tell them Buddy and Mike sent you over. 275-2041 in Baton Rouge and outside the Baton Rouge area.
855-PRIDE-16. All right. Kenny Haynes comes in with another super set. He said Jay's contract was extended last year. It is not heavy incentives, but it goes up every year to over $2 million. Yeah,
I'm with Snake. I'm with Snake right now. I don't think you need to tweak that contract. You just did it after the Natty.
Okay, I didn't see this today. I guess I've been unplugged a little bit on this matter. Allison Habits is the new coach at ULL.
I saw that yesterday.
That is a very, very big hire, nice hire for them. That's who they wanted. And so she finally leaves Alabama. And what's the coach there that was the head coach here for a half a day? It's Alabama.
Murphy?
Coach. Yeah, Murphy.
I was going to act like I didn't know his name, but that was one of those Joe Oliva guys. Only since I'm kicking house, I just soon kick Oliva while I'm in this mood. But only Joe Oliva could steal a coach from Alabama. And after a couple nights in the sack, the Alabama coach says, sorry, Joe, I'm leaving you. That was a weird press conference. I don't remember if you were there or not. But, yeah, Patrick Murphy. And then, look, let's give them credit now. They were the first SEC team to win the Natty. And SEC, just like every other sport, Oklahoma and Texas coming in. They were 1-2 seeds this year. These two schools coming in here, even more SEC hate because of these additional two schools. But I'm telling you, it is going to be crazy with social media adding these two fan bases.
Absolutely.
But you think ULL will be back in with, I guess, their top 15 program in softball still, huh?
Yeah. You know, every time you think you're going to kick dirt on them, they seem to figure it out. But it certainly hasn't made Beth Torina's life any easier. All right, let's see what else we got. Wilk, LSU and Oklahoma could be 9-2 going into that last game, basically a playoff game at Tiger Stadium. You know, yeah, that's going to – if that's what the records are at that point, put it this way. If Oklahoma's 9-2 going to that team, what a season they've had.
I don't see Oklahoma.
Go look at Oklahoma's schedule.
But, Mike, that's the interesting thing about this new deal with the CFP now having 12 and 14 and 26. Just think of how many SEC teams you could have that could go to it 10-2. You could have Ole Miss, you could have Bama, you could have Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, A&M. I mean, there's a bunch of them. And here's the other thing. Let's say Georgia goes 11-1 and is playing in the championship against a 10-2 team. And don't forget, no more divisions this year. But that team that makes it in the SEC championship and loses to Georgia, they get knocked down versus a team that's on the side and doesn't play and doesn't lose. So interesting to see what the parameters are going to be to get into the top 12. But I think certainly Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and probably Alabama, I would think those four have the best chances to get in the CFP 12 this year. Now, Missouri is scary because they've got an easier schedule, but who do you have after those 4 or 5 teams?
Well, I mean, I have my thoughts on LSU, and it's all defensive concerns. But even though I have those concerns, and then if I say, okay, this looks to me like most years an 8-4 team, and then when I go to the LSU schedule and I try to figure out where the 4 losses are at, I'm like, man, they're not losing to that team. They're not, because the schedule does set up for them. So even if they do have issues, I mean, knock on wood, unless, like you said today, if Nussmeier gets hurt, then that changes the equation. But if you tell me Nussmeier is 100% healthy the entire season, man, can they get to 10-2? Maybe, possibly. And if you're 10-2 in the SEC, I think LSU's got to be in that group.
Yeah, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Missouri, Oklahoma. That's the 5 behind the heavyweights. I think Ole Miss is going to be preseason 7 or 8. Georgia's going to be preseason 1 or 2. Them and Ohio State. Texas is going to be preseason 3 or 4. Bama's going to get their votes at 5, 6, or 7. Ole Miss at 5, 6, or 7. That's 4 right there. Missouri probably 11. LSU 13, 14. I mean, you know it's going to be a juggernaut. And
I agree with all that. I think all that's all right.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's early stuff. But oh, by the way, 2 weeks from Monday, believe it or not, next Monday, 2 weeks, SEC Media Days in Dallas. It's hard to believe.
Man, I'm ready. I'm ready. But again, it's one of these deals because LSU didn't make it to Omaha. This stuff with Texas and Texas A&M, and because of the portal, now is there some involvement with LSU? Can Jay Johnson get 1 or 2 guys? So it's kind of giving us some stuff happening here, and then we're about to have some. You still got a lot of football recruiting action going on. You got a calendar of kids ready to make a decision. So typically LSU by Labor Day has 20, 21, 22 commitments. Do they get there? You look at that number right now, you're really going to have a crazy string to get to where they normally are in September.
Yeah. Well, look, bottom line
August, you got to believe a handful will happen.
Yeah, but they can't sign until December. And as we know, there's a lot of things going on with recruiting, with NIL, with the transfer portal. And I think the one thing Tiger fans can take to the bank is that all of these coaches are cognizant of the landscape that they're dealing with. And Jay Johnson even mentioned it. I'm not going to have all those drama queens in the bullpen bitching because I didn't give them an inning or a half inning when they can't throw strikes. And as you saw, everybody he's bringing in the portal throws 90 plus. He's bringing in a long ball with Fernandez and Yalman and all these other guys. And so football, look, Mike was on Brian Kelly and even tried to trick him into getting some kind of assumptive answer because he said, look, you didn't get a D tackle in the early portal. That must mean you're expecting Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith, and or who was the other one? Oh, Jordan Jefferson, of course, who was already. But he didn't get that, so they're going to have to camouflage that. But for the most part, every program that LSU's got very competitive because the fans expect them to be top 20 or better. Gymnastics reloading. You can go on and on and on. And so I think LSU finished 13 in the overall standings. That's not really important, but
Texas was number 1.
Yeah, Texas was number 1. But bottom line is that we'll see what the Longhorns are going to look like in football when they've got to play the grind of that SEC schedule.
Absolutely. I think we had a damn strong show tonight. Usually in the summertime.
Okay, Les.
Yeah, every time we come in the summer, a show during the summer, we were at it's going to be slow and I thought we had a really good one tonight. But if you enjoyed it, please do me a favor, hit that like button. And thanks again for Buddy to being in this week. He's going to be off next week. I'll have a fill in for him. And man, like Buddy said, we're 2 weeks away from SEC football media days. Brian Kelly's first up on the Monday. And it's going to be a real strong week, particularly with two new, it becomes official the two new guys that are in. The official
Monday.
Start date.
Monday, the July 1, Monday, they're in.
So there you go. All right, everybody. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. You know the whole drill. And I'll see you on TigerBait.com and on the message boards. And we got a lot of recruiting stuff coming your way there. So, all right, everybody. Good night.